Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, Ed, aka SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello, this is Ed, aka SavageTechman, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. If you've been following the podcast, you know since Batman vs. Superman that we started what we called the Dawn of the League series, where we started featuring different main characters from Batman vs. Superman. Okay. Well, Justice League's coming out now, so we're continuing that tradition of the Dawn of the League series, and this episode is dedicated to Cyborg, better known as Victor or Vic Stone. And if you want to catch up on some of the Dawn of the League series episodes, we have episode 75 on Aquaman, episode 34 on Wonder Woman, episode 33, Batman, and episode 30 on Superman. And in our Dawn of the League series, talking about Cyborg here. Who is Cyborg? Well, we said his name was Victor Stone. He lives in Detroit, or is from Detroit, and he first appeared in the comics, in DC Comics Presents number 26. In 1980, so a relatively new character to the DC universe. And he obviously is a hero. He's a former student, and he was a football player, and he, in some incarnations of it, if you've watched some of the cartoon animated movies, I should say, that DC does so well, versus Marvel, who does the movies so well, and they don't do as well with the DVD and Blu-rays and, streaming movies that way. But DC, the one thing that they can get right is that. And one of the best performances was Justice League War, and where they fought Darkseid, which essentially is kind of a prelude to what's going to happen in Justice League here. So hopefully we've got a lot of fighting with Darkseid and not just Steppenwolf. So we shall see what happens in Justice League. But so what was the first appearance other than back in 1980, of course, in the New 52, when basically DC rebooted everything several years ago. And so Justice League number 1, Cyborg made his first appearance there. But originally in 1980 was the first time we caught wind of this character. So anyway, basically, to break it down, Victor, or Vic, we'll just call him Vic, or Cyborg, which he's known by a superhero name. He basically went through a terrible accident, and in one incarnation, it was a bad football injury, and he was really, really messed up really badly. Now, they may go to different lengths with his backstory in Justice League, the movie, but basically, he's about to die, and he really wants his dad to come see him in his games, and his dad is so wrapped up in this science. And it's really a father-son dynamic here. So what Vic really needs is his dad to take more of an interest in his football and, watching him play his games and being a part of that. But his dad is always just so busy and wrapped up in his work with computers and technology, which, as the story turns, he is messing around, his father is messing around with one of the mother boxes that, we see in Justice League there. And he uses that technology basically to save his son when his son has a horrific accident. Now, how they explain that accident, we'll have to see in the movie. But basically, we're looking at the fact that that technology that his dad spent all that time trying to understand, his son, he integrates it with his body and creates Cyborg, basically. So Victor is the perfect marriage between human and cybernetic parts. And, we think about Terminator being a cyborg, but honestly, those are machines, and then with, human aspects added to them. Whereas Cyborg in the DC universe is a human who is basically grafted with cybernetic parts. Now, off of the subject here, but we're going to see in Deadpool 2, we'll see Cable. Now, Cable was, if they do it right in Deadpool, when they introduce him on the big screen, the character of Cable, who's played by Josh Brolin, who also plays Thanos, which is crazy, but it's cool. Anyway, so when we're talking about Cable, now Cable was infected with a techno-organic virus that basically changed half of his body and kind of made him into a cyborg too. And so he has, part of his body enhanced strength and everything and super abilities in that sense. But for Cyborg, it basically was a life-saving ordeal. So he basically has that superhuman strength. These are some of his powers as they were. He can interface with any kind of technology, including the mother boxes. And if you watch Justice League War, which I really think you should, the Justice League is taking on, including Green Lantern, okay? But they're taking on Darkseid, and it's just pretty brutal fight there, and it's just really good. And definitely, it's one of my favorites. I definitely want to recommend it. I might go watch it later after recording this, but check out Justice League War. But anyway, so Cyborg, he interacts with the mother boxes, and he's able to open and close boom tubes and that, and to send Darkseid back to another dimension or part of space, and the parademons, which you're going to see in Justice League also. So he can interface with that technology. He can interface with any technology. He basically gets his own Wi-Fi. He's his own internet, essentially. So, or he can tap into any of that. So that's pretty cool too. If, that would be what I would do. Have the fastest internet speed in the entire galaxy. But he also can do some really cool things Cyborg can. He has, usually it's a sonic weapon on his arm, but he can fashion weapons into one of his arms. So, he usually can do that, or some kind of phase cannon or something, but he has that ability. He also has a genius level intellect. So he's one of the smartest, most intricate thinking people out there in the DC universe. And he can control other technology, like in Justice League, where you see him in the Bat Jet, I guess that's what we're calling it. And he says, "I'll take it from here, Alfred." And Alfred says, "Oh, excuse me, do I know you?" So that's a hilarious thing there. But that shows off his skills there. And obviously, he's a hacker. He can hack into any computer system. You pretty much can't create a system that Cyborg cannot hack into. So he can do that. He's very durable. And according to the comics, he does have the teleportation ability. Now, whether that's fleshed out, no pun intended, in Justice League, we'll have to see. But that would be a cool ability to have if you were able to teleport. And actually, if you follow Cable, which we're kind of talked about a little bit ago, from X-Men, he can teleport too. He can actually teleport through time using is it a mother box? Is that what they call it? A little computer? Which is kind of what Superman used. I'm trying to remember now. I can't remember. I shouldn't have went off on that tangent, but Cable's one of my favorite all-time heroes. In the X-Men universe, I love the time travel episodes. Always love those. And if you ever watched X-Men from the 90s, which the Dark Phoenix movie coming out, X-Men Dark Phoenix, is going to be set in the 90s. So I wonder if they're going to bring Cable in. They should have brought Cable in with Apocalypse. But you see, that's another story for another time, okay? And that's on the Marvel side of things. But what we're focusing on, I don't want to pull any attention from DC here and from Cyborg, because I think it's really great to have a person of color such as Vic or Cyborg to show that the diversity, and it really shows. If you think about, let's think about the concept of Cyborg, okay? Imagine you had a device that can give you instant information, can entertain you, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's your cell phone, right? Well, you know how connected we are to our cell phones. They might as well be a cybernetic part of us. And eventually, probably 50 to 100 years or so from now, we'll have chips and different things. And who knows? Well, there was Google Glasses at once, but that didn't really take off. But, we have augmented reality. We'll have virtual reality before you know it, true virtual reality. And so, what's interesting is think about Cyborg as being connected directly to that technology. It's integrated into him, and he can integrate into any technology. So whether it's alien technology or it's, something terrestrial here that we possess the knowledge of on this planet. But so Cyborg, essentially, it's a comment on the human side and the technological side. And it's kind of talking about society. If you think about it, we're almost cyborgs, essentially. We're walking around tethered to a phone, a tablet, or whatever it may be, and giving us instant information. And, it's an interesting concept. And it's interesting to see when I think of superheroes and kids coming up now and looking up to superheroes. It's nice to see someone and to see the diversity in our superheroes now. And the Justice League is definitely that. I really want to take that diversity a step further, and let's get a Martian on the team, because one of my favorite characters who's not in Justice League as far as I know, and maybe will be in the future, and I hope someone hearing this will say, hey, we need to get this guy on the big screen. I'm talking about Martian Manhunter, J'onn J'onzz. Now, Smallville did a great job of bringing Martian Manhunter into, their universe there. And Small Girl, excuse me, Supergirl is doing a very good job of having Hank Henshaw essentially being the character. We have J'onn J'onzz basically taking on the role of Hank Henshaw, but other than that, he's J'onn J'onzz, the Martian Manhunter. And they've kind of messed a little bit, if you're up to date with Supergirl, they've messed with the canon on that. He's not Mars Sole Survivor, as he's always kind of been known as a green Martian. So, now we know there are white Martians, and they basically rose up and slaughtered and enslaved the green Martians. And Magan, who is on there too, she on Supergirl has gone back to Mars to kind of lead a revolt. And there was a recent episode where J'onn J'onzz met his father, who was in exile, and if you know anything about Martian Manhunter, he's ever as bit as strong as Superman. He can shapeshift. He has teleportation abilities like Cyborg does in the comics. And I mean, he has basically like heat vision. He has just an endless array of possibilities for his abilities. So super strength. He can change his density. He can become transparent like the Vision, or he can become, like really hardened. If you hit him, he's like a rock. He can change the density of his body in that way. So it's really cool. Obviously, he can fly, just like Cyborg. I didn't mention that, but Cyborg does have the ability to fly, obviously seen in Justice League and in the comics. So that's pretty doggone cool. So, what else can I say about Vic here, our friend, the Cyborg? Not really much more. I mean, it's pretty straightforward with him. He's integrated with technology, and I think the gentleman's going to be a bright part, definitely a bright part in Justice League. He's going to be just total badassery, He's just going to totally do what needs to be done, and I think it's going to turn out really well. Seeing Cyborg on the big screen. I look forward to hopefully getting a Cyborg solo movie. That would be wonderful. That would be super fun. That would be great. Him being a newer character, there are so many things we can do with his origin, and origins aren't always set in stone. Like we talked on the episode about Aquaman, we talked about there was about 6 to 7 different incarnations. Is that the right word? Anyway, it's going to be. But you know what? There's 6 or 7 different versions. How about that? Of how he became Aquaman. So, you can always look for different things, different ways that, for origin stories there. So I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward with Cyborg. So there's really not much more to say about that, except that we need you to go out and we need you to support this movie. Hopefully Justice League. I've heard some mixed reviews on it. That scares me. I'm a little scared. But we learned from Batman versus Superman, at least the true fans did, that that wasn't a horrible movie. I mean, the critics hated it. The fans went out, apparently, and spent a whole ton of money on it. So let's go out and spend a whole ton of money on Justice League. Let's support this movie. Let's get behind it, just like everyone did for Wonder Woman, which it was a wonderful movie. It wasn't as great as I originally thought it was. I mean, the first time I saw Wonder Woman, yes, blown away. Second time, okay, I could find a few things wrong with it, but I had to be a little bit picky. But still, not to take away, such an important movie Wonder Woman was and is. And I want to see Wonder Woman treated with a lot of respect in Justice League and really showcasing her character. And I know that Cyborg's going to get his screen time too. Aquaman, we're going to see our new version of The Flash on the big screen, so that's going to be nice to see also. It's just going to be a really good time. So go out, support Justice League, go see it again if you hadn't seen it, and tell your friends about it. Now, let us know what you think about these episodes. And just to refresh your mind, this is our Dawn of the League series on Cyborg. Episode 75 is on Aquaman. Episode 34, Wonder Woman. Episode 33 is Batman. And episode 30 is on Superman. And we talk origins and evolutions of these characters. So you want to check those out. Anyway, please check us out on Geek Homeworld. That's at Geek Homeworld on Twitter. We've been getting a lot of great reactions and and feedback, positive feedback on our YouTube channel. So please go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there, and when a new episode comes out or we do anything on that channel, you'll certainly be updated. Make sure you do that. And we're going to have a lot of fun things coming up soon on our YouTube channel especially. But keep listening every week here for the podcast. You can go to geekhomeworld.libsyn.com. That's the main website where we're hosted at. And you can listen to the episodes directly from there. You can also subscribe to Geek Homeworld on iTunes in the podcast section there of iTunes. So you definitely want to do that. So we appreciate all your positive feedback. We thank all of our listeners as we continue going on here into our third year of podcasting at the Geek Homeworld. So this is Ed, aka SavageTechman, saying thank you all very much and go out and enjoy Justice League. Thanks. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow and interact with us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes and leave a review, subscribe to us on YouTube, read our thoughts on Blogger. See you again on the Geek Homeworld.